In the 1950s, it was common practice to have your traditional family comprised of the mother and father, a couple of children. Father's primary role was the breadwinner. He would go out to the workforce and be the sole provider of all the income for the family. The mother's role was the domestic side of that. She would be responsible for the cooking, the shopping, the taking care of the children, and making sure dinner was on the table at 5 o'clock when he got home. With today's society, we live beyond our means financially, so the typical family is comprised of a husband and wife, a couple of children, and both of those parents are going to be out in the workforce. It's going to be a dual income family, and that's just the way, unfortunately, that America has gotten due to our overspending, obviously inflation, but also the cost of living has gone up. It's very hard for a family of 4 to survive on what the median income in America is. When your child is home with you, you have the ability to instill the proper morals, beliefs, values into that child. When they are in a daycare, you do not know what they're being taught. You don't know how their behavior is being either rewarded, reprimanded, influenced by the other children. This is obviously a very important aspect of growing up, knowing right from wrong. Having a daycare myself that I actually did run, seeing an actual change in my son's behavior, temperament, moods was astonishing. He went from a very gentle, calm, easy-mannered child to one that was hostile, and he was biting, and he wanted to wrestle and fight. And it was because of the influences of the other children and what they were considered okay in their households was being brought into this environment with us. Obviously, knowing what your child is being taught is pretty important. How are they being taught? Are they being taught phonetics? Are they being taught sight words when it comes to reading? Are they being taught properly their numbers and letters and how to form complete sentences even? Making them ask for something. May I have a drink instead of saying drink? It's the verbal communication as well. Obviously, when a child is home with their parents or with their mother, even their father, they're going to get the emotional bond that a child and a mother need to have to form a lasting relationship, and also so that child feels secure and safe. Feeling of less vulnerability, knowing that they've got a safe ground, whereas when they're in a facility, the facilitators have to be a little bit less personable because of favoritism or, just however it was. One negative of obviously having a one-income family is it's going to put an additional strain, unless the husband is making, above median income. It's going to put a strain on a marriage, possibly. However, if a family is able to live amongst their means, it shouldn't be a problem. And I do highly suggest that mothers or fathers, if the mother is the one that's making the bulk of the income, stay home with their children before the age of 6. Once you get the children through their first 6 years, it's off to public school, and it should be, you've done all that you can to instill your beliefs and your values into the child, and they should be a better child for it. But when they're being put into that environment where you have no information, or the information that you're given possibly isn't accurate on what your child is being taught, how they're being handled, the child's obviously going to have repercussions from that later on in life. Also, when the child is home with you, it's less likely that they're going to form bad habits that another child might have learned and is coming and bringing into a facility and obviously instilling into your child. And with the facility not being able to properly punish a child as they are allowed to at home, you have less remorse for the things that you've done wrong. You're simply redirected instead of somebody telling them what was right and wrong to begin with, because redirection is how they work it in a facility. At home, you can take care of business as needed. Some daycares do an alright job. However, it is recommended that you keep your children until they are 6 in an environment where they are with a parental figure. That is what I recommend. I do believe that it will help them become better people. that they will have less behavioral issues later on, and that you know that your morals and beliefs are going to be within those children until they're older, and then instilling the same into them. So, thank you very much. And does anyone have any questions?
What percentage of mothers stay home nowadays compared to, as opposed to that don't stay home?
Well, the traditional family dynamic, which consists of your mother and your father and your children, with the father being the sole provider, is less than 7% in the United States. Whereas it's about the dual income, the married with children with dual income is at 31%. And then there's obviously other statistics, where it's just a married couple with no children or single. But the percentage is so low. I mean, compared to when, as an example, back in the 1950s, when it was kind of odd to have the wife go out and get a job, but it was necessary, especially, for telephone operators, because the men didn't want to do the job. But it's unfortunate that it's declined as much as it has, because we're seeing it in society now in the behaviors of our adolescents and in juvenile deviance going up. And it's because of the lack of morals being instilled into those children, because of the fact that they weren't raised by their parents. Their parents had to work, and they got 3 hours a day with them instead of the majority of the day. So, yeah. Any questions?
What would you recommend to somebody that's a single parent and they don't have an option? I mean, my child's been in daycare since he was 7 weeks old.
Exactly. And in a single parent dynamic, obviously you're going to have to do something because you have to support your child. So the best thing is, I do recommend, if you're going to have to put them into a child care facility, find a very well established, with good references, an in-home daycare. It's less traumatic to the child, and it's also a little bit easier to discuss discipline, to where they're still regulated by the government or by the state. However, it makes it a little bit easier to get what you want them to be teaching your child, instead of having to follow a curriculum of a facility. So, if you have something specific that you want them to learn, they're usually going to be very adaptive to that. So, but thank you very much. I do appreciate your time, and have a wonderful day.